Well, this is what I'm doing today on a rainy day. I'm reminiscing about my childhood. So before you start judging me, or I'll probably lose some subscribers over this, but this is what I used to do when I was a kid. First, let me set you up with the situation of when I was growing up. My parents and I was the firstborn, and it was 7 years before my parents had another child, which was my sister, and then the next year I had a baby brother. So we lived in a big apartment building, and at the time, most of the time when I was growing up, so I wasn't able to go outside and play. We lived in a big town in a big apartment building. My parents were not rich or anything. Let me start off by saying that. So, and my dad was an electrician, and he traveled around all over the country. I'm talking every state as an electrician. So I didn't get to see my dad. He would most of the time he would come home on Friday evenings or early Saturday mornings, and he would have to leave out again like Sunday night or early Monday morning, depending on his destination. So uh, it was just my mom and I in the apartment building, and the the landlord we had, he had a little bitty yard at the apartment, big tall apartment building that we lived in, and he didn't want anybody on the grass. He was real proud of the green grass he had growing. So, of course, I couldn't play in the grass, and he had a little backyard there that had some concrete there, a little pad, and I had a little tricycle. I could go out there. It was fenced in, so I could go out there and ride my bicycle. That we had the ground floor apartment, so my mom could look out the window and make sure I was okay. And I'd just stay right there in that little uh, concrete pad. Most of the time, though, uh, I'm trying to give you why I'm so passionate about cars and trucks. I've always loved cars and trucks. Even my mom and dad was in amazement at me when I was like 2 and 3 years old. They could point out a car any place on the road that I can tell you the make of it. I couldn't tell you the year. I didn't know what numbers were, but I could tell you if it was a Ford, Chevy, Packard, whatever. And they were just simply in amazement. So anyway, I got to where I was pretty good naming cars, and I've always loved playing with cars and trucks. That's all I ever wanted was little toy cars and trucks. So I would look around as we got to go riding around getting groceries. When my dad would come home, we'd have to go get groceries, this, that, and the other. My mom did not have a car, and she didn't even have a driver's license. So we stayed home all the time up until I started walking to school at 5 years old. So uh, at that time, my mom didn't let me out of her sight. As I said, we lived in a big city, and there was some meanness going around. We weren't wealthy. We didn't live in a really safe neighborhood. So I stayed in the house most of the time. Okay. Anyway, I'd always ask my mom or dad, can I have a little toy car or truck to play with? And this is what I would do. As I said, my dad was an electrician. One of my favorite things that he could give me was electrical tape. I know that sounds crazy, but just remember, if you was, 4 or 5 years old, 3, 4, 5, and all you knew was cars and Bozo the Clown and the Mickey Mouse Club, that's that's about it. I would pay attention when we go out grocery shopping or paying bills or whatever. I'd listen to the sounds. I always liked the sounds of these old Ford trucks. I didn't know what motor was in them, but now I know it was a flathead V8. They always had a good sound to them. I always liked 55 Chevys, 59 Fords, Cadillacs. I thought, man, those are awesome cars. But anyway, I'd listen to the sounds of them, and I would try to imitate it moving my mouth, trying to make motor sounds and stuff. But anyway, getting back to the electrical tape, I've been picking up these little things, like at yard sales and stuff, and thinking about making me a junkyard, maybe messing them up a little bit and whatnot. But I was just going to show you what I would do when I was a kid in my bedroom, playing with the little kid scissors that's rounded on the end that you can't get cut or hurt with them. Just good enough for cutting electrical tape. Couldn't hurt nobody. I was by myself. My mom was always ironing my dad's clothes, doing laundry. She was always doing her thing as far as what moms would do back in the 50s and 60s, making sure we had food on the table and stuff. So I'd go in my room and play. So this is what I done. I used to do stuff just like this right here. I'd put cruiser skirts on. That's kind of like this. This is not a cruiser skirt, but it covers up half the wheel, you can see. Cruiser skirts go from one end to the other. I'd put cruiser skirts on with my electrical tape. I'd put exhaust on with my electrical tape. And I just done this in a real big hurry. And or I could put on the side pipes on there, and I would get black tape, and I'd cover up the fender and act like it'd been in an accident. Maybe they had replaced the fender, stuff like this. I didn't finish completing it, but anyway, I just done that so it would save the paint on the fender. So you can act like you're just pushing it around, and I'm just talking like a little kid. Okay, pushing it around, taking it someplace and getting it fixed, and take the tape off, and it's already fixed and painted. Sometimes I'm doing all this videos, by the way, for my grandkids, so they'll know how I grew up, maybe why I'm strange. I don't know. Sometimes I'd sneak in my mom's and get her a little a nail file thing. It's made out of metal, had a little point on the end, and I'd scratch the paint off one fender or the door or something like that. And maybe that's why I like cars and trucks that are left in the woods, left out in the field, stuff like that. I just always liked that kind of stuff. I used to keep all my spare wheels, and I'd make Continental kits and put on the back, just little things like that, and just have some fun. And I'd also keep all my wheels, and I'd try to make it look like it's a hot rod truck. Now this is not the right size. This is what wheel was on it, still on it. But I'd get my black electrical tape and make it look like it had slicks on the back. And just do a few little things. And I'd put exhaust on this one, just like they would back in, well, I guess they still do, but back when I was growing up, this was the thing. And if you're a little kid like I was, I hope y'all don't judge me harshly, but when you're by yourself and all you got's a few cars and trucks to play with, and you got some electrical tape and some scissors, you can modify it just about any way you want to, So that's what I done, and I just going to show this too. This is what the car, it still looks like if I took all that stuff off, but, it rolls, and, I'd make my motor sounds and stuff, but this is what I done. I was just a little kid. Then when my sister was born and I was 7 and my brother at 8, I spent most of the time changing diapers, rocking them to sleep, taking care of them and stuff, while my mom still had to do the household chores of fixing meals. There wasn't no, going down to Pizza Hut or nothing. There was just my mom and I and my brother and sister. So my mom, washing and ironing, and she needed help. So I was that person. So, but you could play with electrical tape and stuff like that when I was a kid, and be real quiet. So when my brother and sister were asleep, if you could get them to go to sleep at the same time, you could play with your cars and stuff. So anyway, I've talked long enough, and I'm sure I'm going to get some people that's going to unsubscribe because they probably think I'm strange, but that's just me, and that's kind of how I grew up for a good part of my life. So anyway, that's why if you think you're hearing a strange guy talking, or I say I'm a nut, Sometimes I think I am. But anyway, I appreciate you watching the video. Thanks for putting up with me. I'm just, as time goes on, I'll give you a little more insight on me. Uh, you know, we're all going to be friends, I hope. Anyway, appreciate it. Y'all have a good day. Please subscribe and give me a thumbs up and leave a comment. And now that you know I'm strange. Okay. Hey, y'all have a good one. Check in your next video. See you later.